Hey, we have another integral here from the MIT Integration Bee 2022. This was problem number 12. Before I get started, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Really would appreciate the support. Let's get started. So the problem we have on the board is integral from 1 to 0, square root of 1 minus the square root of x dx. Thinking the way to go on this is going to be u substitution. We could try making u substitution for the whole integral, but I think I'm just going to take the inside and we're going to call this part our u. So we'll call this u equals 1 minus square root of x. Then we could take the derivative, but I think what I'm going to do is let's rewrite this so we'll have square root of x equals 1 minus u. And then we'll square both sides and we'll have x equals 1 minus 2u plus u squared. Then now I'll take my derivative, get my dx. So of derivative here is 0 minus 2 plus 2u du. Let's do our substitution. So for our bounds of integration, I'm going to plug in our bounds in here. So we'll plug a 1 in here for x, and we're going to have a 0. And we'll plug a 0 in, and we're going to have a 1, plugging a 0 in here. Then when we do our substitution, we'll have the square root of u, but I'm going to write this as u to the 1/2. And then for our dx, we'll have all this business here. So we're going to have minus 2 plus 2u du. Then we're just going to distribute. Before I integrate, I'm just going to factor out a -1 here so that I can flip my bounds so that we can write this as 1 to 0. And so you notice we flipped our bounds of integration and we just changed the sign on the integral. Now we can just integrate using the power rule. So we're going to have 2u to the 3/2, and then we'll have our 2/3 out front minus 2u to the 5/2, and we'll flip that and we'll have 2/5. We're going to evaluate that from 1 to 0. But you'll notice this is pretty easy to evaluate because when we plug a 0 in here, we're going to have just a 0. So I'm basically going to ignore that part of it. And then when we plug in our 1, u to the 3/2 is just going to be 1. U to the 5/2 is going to be just 1. So we just need to multiply out these fractions and we're done. So 2 times 2/3 is going to be 4/3. 2 times 2/5 is going to be 4/5. We'll just get a common denominator, and we have 20 over 15 minus 12 over 15, and that's going to give a final answer of 8 over 15. That's it. MIT 2020 problem number 12.